What's up, everybody? We are back again with a new episode of Goldfishing Kinnan on Wednesday, November 15th. It's been a while, and I added some different cards, and I guess this starting hand kind of shows them. I didn't even look at the hand yet, but yeah, this is Goldfishing Kinnan. The idea is to show how the deck works and just kind of go through a few scenarios. I'm not sure how long I'm going to go for today, but yeah, this is a hand that is really weird to goldfish because this is extremely dependent on turn order. If I am on the play, I think say fuck it and fire this off. If I'm not on the play, then I probably don't keep this. But if I'm on the play or a second seat, I mean, we can just kind of show what this one does. You draw a card for turn. You probably just go Ancient Tomb, Lotus Petal, Trinisphere, and just slow down your opponents and hope that that lands. And now you've just bought yourself a ton of time to develop ahead of them, which is always super, super nice. So we go to our turn two. Untap, play Polluted Delta, crack it, get a Tropical Island, close and shuffle. Go to our turn three, where again your opponents still haven't been able to do anything. You untap. Beautiful to draw a Simic Signet there. You get a Mr. Rainforest. You could crack it. View library. Go and get Breeding Pool. And now you're always in an interesting scenario of like, oh, do I cast Kinnan first or do I cast Simic Signet first? In this world, I don't think your opponents would do everything to blow up Kinnan, but they might. And you'd rather they take a turn off of their development to keep doing what they're doing. So I think I just keep it classy like that, and still withhold on the Kinnan for now, because that's fine, because the next turn we can play Kinnan and still hold up interaction pretty comfortably. So we go to our turn four. Lovely to hit land drops and mana. That's like the dream in these scenarios, because we don't actually have a lot going on. But here we have 6 mana this way, so we would just tap for 3, play a Kinnan, and we are holding up interaction. So if someone tries to blow up the Kinnan, we can deal with that. If someone tries to do anything here, we can deal with that. I mean, we have several types of counterspells, so we are in great shape with the mana to activate, or not to activate, to use a counterspell through a Stratosphere. Go to our turn 5. I know it sounds crazy with how long the game has gone on, and that's pretty fantastic as well, actually. There's always an argument for Rhystic Study or Nezahal. Because we are on turn 5 and people are likely at that like 4 to 5 mana mark, it's very likely that people just pay for Rhystic Study if they have anything. So I think I would honestly say fuck it and just go for 4, 5, 6, 7. Play down as a whole here. Start drawing more cards. Continue to progress ahead. And that's a force draw. And people aren't going to withhold their mana production at this point because of the Trinisphere. So if they have rocks, they're going to play them. It's just how the card works. So we'll say we draw 2 cards in the cycle there. Love to see that. Untap again. And I mean, you're in such a comfortable position at this time. You can really beg the question of, do my opponents have anything to stop me? And you can kind of take it slow or take it however you feel like. You have 7 mana here very comfortably. Sadly missed a land drop. I think what I might go for, do we play the Basalt? Is there value in the Basalt? I think with the ability to hold up counter magic, I do think I would play the Basalt. So this is 4 mana. Play a Trophy Mage. Hold up 1 mana. Go get Basalt Monolith. Use 2 more mana. Play the Basalt Monolith. Very unlikely that someone has a counterspell held up. You would withhold this if someone did have the mana to interact here, because you wouldn't be able to do this with protection for it. But assuming people aren't at the 3 mana for Trinisphere right now, give it a shot. And then you produce your Infinite Colors mana, and then you also play a Talisman of Curiosity. And so now you have all of your counter magic held up for other people's turns. You essentially have 3 counter spells held up to survive the cycle with the Trinisphere, which you will probably have to use, we will say, 2 of them to do that. And then we'll get back to our turn. Untap. Infinite Colors mana. Spellskite makes it nice and easy. And then we can tap Ancient Tomb to tap this guy. Get 1 activation, plus we'll say a green held up so we can choose the island. Spinny spin. Sadly hit a whiff. Tap your island. Spin again. Seaboard Muse. Love it. So that's the best news possible. If people are tapped out right now, then just like make sure to hold interaction. But I mean, we'll totally at least play this Rhystic Study. And so, yeah, now we can go to end step and just make sure that we can still hold up the counter magic if we need it. We'll put one more spin on the stack in end step. 3, 4, and 5. Um, Honestly, in our current situation with all we have going on, I think I would just flesh duplicate the Spellskite, just to be like extra sure that I am protecting everything I have going on here. And then we untap on our opponent's turn, and I mean, we're going to win this game. We essentially have, so this is 2 spins. We have 4 spins on each of our opponent's turns right now, so I mean, the likelihood that we hit something to just get us there is incredibly high. 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, scrap board your last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nixmoom Ancient, I mean, that just makes this on our opponent's next turn. We will have, okay, so we have infinite colors. This will give us 3 sins plus an extra. This gives us 4, so that gives us another, so that and that. Another 3 spins, so that is 7 spins. So we have 10 spins here. We go through half our deck. We find Thrasios. We win the game. Pretty easy peasy. Very solid win. Obviously, it is turn 7, but with the Trinity out, if people can't deal with that, like, this is a game you dominate. Going into the next game, let's just look for generic hands first before we give scenarios. This is a hand that sadly only has 1 land. If this had a second land, I would actually be pretty interested in it, because it just gets to go land elf, lands for Kinnan, and then Elvish Mystic into Grim Monolith into the One Ring, which is very solid, especially with like multiple counterspells backup. This is actually a super great hand if you do draw land. This is one I would consider taking a risk on. It's very close. I mean, the upside is extremely high, to the point where I actually think I might keep this, because worst case, you still play Kinnan turn 2 and you're still holding up a Fierce Guardianship, which is not at all bad. Or if you just don't feel the need, you could just play Grim Monolith and then go for the One Ring the following turn. So I think I would try this. Don't draw to land here, so yeah, you're just going Command Tower Elf. Go to your turn 2, and that does it. That's fine. So you play Kinnan, play Mana Crypt, play Grim Monolith, play the One Ring, and you are this tap for 4. This was an extra one, so you have 1 additional mana held up here. You would totally tap this, draw a card, and hit your land drop, which feels fantastic, because now you are holding up Fierce, Force, Offer, and March. You have 4 pieces of interaction that are all live to be used in this turn cycle, which just feels great. This is not active right now, so you untap in your next turn. We would tap the One Ring on upkeep, so we'll just draw 1 extra card here, and then we'll draw another card. So on upkeep, you would tap the One Ring, draw 1 more, and then you would go to your draw step for turn, and all of that is pretty nice. No complaints there. Get a Rejuvenating Springs, keep the mana production going. You do have spin mana +1 held up here, so I think in this scenario, if there's not something on board I want to copy, I play an elf, and then I'm just, again, holding up all of my counter magic until the end step before my turn. We can say we had to use a Fierce or something, and then, yeah, throw out 1 spin before your turn again. Hit a Hullbreaker Horror. Feels pretty nice. Those on the bottom. And now, same thing. We're going to untap and draw with the One Ring, so we'll draw 2 additional here. And Mox Amber is just a perfect hit. Draw for turn. And yeah, I mean, you've got several pieces of counter magic backup. I would just Scalding Tarn, go get Trop. Feels fantastic. And you are so set. You just go for Mox Amber, Mana Crypt, form infinite mana. You could do other things first if you wanted to. You could start with like Invasion of Ikoria for X = 4 to get Glenalundra, or you could do it for 5 to get Wandering Archaic, whatever makes the most sense in the situation. You could do a Spellskite if you just felt the need to get down an additional protective piece. But I mean, you have 2 pieces of counter magic here and just like a very easy combo on board. You win this game. Let's look at another hand here. This one, you get access to the complete Basalt Treasure Vault line, but pretty sad mana production, so I would not keep this. Okay. Sadly, it is a 1-land fish hand, so, I mean, where are you in turn order? Obviously, having Basalt and Trophy Mage like this hand does just have a full combo. This is very high risk with the option of high reward. If things just go in your favor, you're really just hoping to draw into mana sources and free counter magic, though. So this is risky. I mean, the way this plays out is like, do this, play the fish, maybe you draw 2 cards in a cycle. Hitting Mana Crypt is kind of huge. You untap, tap your land for fish, play the Mana Crypt. Still don't get to play additional resources there, but hitting that free mana source so you pay for fish with Mana Crypt next turn is huge. So you go to your next turn, pay for fish, then you would draw this, or maybe you would have drawn a couple cards in the cycle as well. So yeah, this is kind of shitty now that you didn't hit a land in any of these draws, which makes your life really difficult. So like you can play out the Mox Amber, but the odds of you winning this game are now feeling pretty low, to the point where you probably have to let the fish die next turn, and people are aware of that. So you probably only, well, you discard down to hand size, so I guess get rid of, you might want Scrap Gorger, get rid of Glenolender here. Yeah, probably, I mean, we have the Trophy Mage, get Mirror, and that just gets us Endurance, so we can get back Thrasios. I would probably just discard the Thrasios here, and discard the Endurance as well. I mean, of course, it depends what interaction you feel the need to hold up, but, you know, Sight Grift, Force Will are pretty nice. Maybe Endurance is better than Sight Grift in this scenario. It's hard to say without matchup, but, you know, free interaction is free interaction. So you go to your following turn. All right, let's say we draw 2 cards in the cycle, and we still did not hit a land, so now we have to untap and let the fish die. So this will go to the graveyard. We will untap. Now we finally hit a land, which is nice, so we will crack that. Library. Tropical Islands. And we do have a piece of free interaction here, fortunately, so like if you did want to shoot the shot, which at this point you're probably feeling some level of a need to, play Kinnan. You can tap the Mana Crypt and just play out your Basalt. And you have a Force of Will, pitching, honestly, Hullbreaker Horror here if someone tries to counter it. And if this gets through, you win the game pretty easily, through actually in 2 ways, because you have infinite colors to get the Talisman of Curiosity. So, you know, if someone takes away your ability to do Trophy Mage after this, then sure, you can just Invasion of Ikoria, get back your Thrasios, and still win the game from this position. I would assume this one doesn't actually work out, but, you know, the win line is there. Always nice to have a hand that just wins, but it's also nice to take a slow, interactive hand. But that's a little more difficult to show while Goldfishing, so easier to show what the deck is capable of in a proactive sense during these sessions. This hand, again, just a little light on mana. You know, Chain of Vapor is a newer card in the deck over Resculpt. Just mana efficiency is really important right now. We're in quite the mid-range meta. There's definitely a world I go back to Resculpt eventually. The self-ritual aspect of Chain of Vapor I have done a couple times, but it is definitely not the purpose that's in the deck. It's very much a niche upside. I think I'm shipping this hand back, though. If this was a green mana, the ability to go, like, turn 1 Birds and a turn 2 Manglehorn or something like that is actually very enticing, but without the green source, it's just not going to work out. So ship that guy back. Yeah, not good enough. Doesn't do enough. Go to 6. Definitely doesn't work. Go to 5. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. On 5, there's a world I keep this, in which case we're obviously keeping the lands. Definitely want the Mana Rocks. Probably want the One Ring to draw out of this before we go for Tezzeret. Yeah, I mean, that's a 5. So we'll keep that, see how it plays out here. Draw for turn 1. Honestly, that's pretty amazing. So we get to go pitch this to Mox Diamond, play out a Talisman, and play out a Birds, which is kind of huge because now we're going to have turn 2 One Ring with Kinnan, which is pretty great. Now we get a piece of counter magic to back that up. Feels even better. So yeah, I mean, we play Kinnan, we play the One Ring, and draw off the One Ring immediately. Hope to hit a land. Didn't hit it. 2 pieces of counter magic, though, both free. Feels pretty nice. No complaints there for sure. We'll tap the One Ring on upkeep, so we'll draw an extra card on upkeep here. And then we'll just go to our draw for turn. Love to hit a land there. This is kind of perfect, because now we're in a position of, I mean, tap this for 1, play a Springleaf Drum. And now we're holding up interaction while also holding up a spin. Because our interaction is free, there's like a ton of upside here, and just throwing it out and seeing what you hit. Save the Mox Diamond, tap it this way. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we'll take a Perplexing Chimera. Let's make your guys' lives difficult. Hopefully make it back to your following turn here. Untap, draw with the One Ring. So 2 more before our actual draw step. Okay, draw. Oh, so now we have Worldly Tutor, which is huge. All right, so we have some interaction. We got ways to protect it with Perplexing Chimera. So I think upkeep here, throw out a Worldly Tutor. If that lands, we're going to get Seedborn Muse. We're going to put it on top. And then before we draw, we're going to activate. So we have one floating here. Make it 6, or make it 7. Activate, put Seedborn into play. I don't care what goes to the bottom here. So Seedborn goes directly into play, which feels really, really nice. And then, yeah, you're just going to hold this up. Sadly, you're not holding up any of this stuff, which is a little meh, but like it's fine here. So you do still get a draw for turn. Okay, you are holding up more. So now you get a Mana Crypt, which feels fantastic. And in that world, honestly, let me, well, you could Flesh Duplicate the Seedborn is also pretty huge. But I think in this world, let me just Finale for 2. If I feel like this is getting through. And so I'll just get a Spellskite here. Now, there's obviously an argument for Thrasios, but same kind of thing exists. Like, if they deal with the Seedborn, they deal with the Seedborn. This is kind of making sure they don't deal with the Seedborn, and Seedborn with the One Ring is huge. The other line you could do there is hold up the Finale and Flesh Duplicate the Seedborn. That's, like, also extremely valid. I feel like between Chimera and Spellskite, though, it's going to be difficult to get rid of the Seedborn, so I like that. So now we untap on our opponent's turns. And I guess we'll play this out how I would do this here. So total mana right now, 6, 8, 9, 10, 13 mana. So just short of 2 spins, but we're going to prioritize interaction. So tap the Run Ring, opponent's first turn, 1, 2, 3, 4. Love to see a piece of interaction there. Before their end step, pretty simple, just throw out a spin. Try and hold up as many blue sources as possible. As a haul is fantastic here, more card advantage. Yep, and untap on your next opponent's turn, draw 5. It's one where we wish we'd activated first and get anything out of there. Same kind of deal, we'll activate Kinnan on end step. So we just get a Scrap Gorge into play, which is relevant that we have the Springleaf Drum. So even though it's summoning sick, we do still have access to Graveyard Hate here. Very important thing to keep in mind. So yeah, go to the next opponent's turn, and I mean, we're feeling pretty good. Yeah, do the same thing. Activate first. 3, 4, 5, 6. See, would have been a whiff on the spin there. We do have a good amount of interaction here between. I mean, actually hitting Court of Calling is kind of huge. Court of Calling gives us access to like Glenelender and stuff like that. So if we need it, we have it, which is pretty big. I think I would still throw out 1 regular spin on end step here. More card advantage or removal. So here's, I mean, board state. Obviously, we're drawing plenty of cards. No complaints about drawing more, but like Thorn Mammoth is probably the better interaction for the board state right now. So you do that. Untap on your opponent's turn. Last one, and you're going to, or I don't know if we already did this 3 times or not. I think we did actually. So now this is our turn. Cool. So yeah, our turn. Draw 7. Sorry if that's not our turn. I just, you know, I'm not 100% right now on which one it is. And yeah, I mean, we can go for this in a few ways now. And I love all this protection we have. Is pretty crazy. I think I would just ramp out Mana Rocks first. And then, fortunately, we can actually Hullbreaker line through a Trinisphere here, which is kind of huge. So I think I would go for Nyxbloom Ancient first. So let me look at the lands here. So we can actually play Manamo as well to draw more cards, which is kind of crazy. But I think we would tap as few things as possible, get to Nyxbloom. Seems like a really good line. And if we Nyxbloom and then we Trinisphere, that might be the safest way of doing this. So if we Mana Crypt for 3, get out Mana Vault and Soul Ring, 1 floating. Let's try and find the best way to do this. Okay, so we have 1 floating. So Nyxbloom needs 4. So this gets us to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now we can Nyxbloom Ancient with 1 mana available. We'll say it has to be a green mana the way we did it actually. So we have 1 green mana available right now. And that's fine. So now we can tap Mana Vault for 10 colorless mana. Use 3 of it on Trinisphere. And that's going to really force our opponent's hands, where if they want to stop us, they have to stop us now, or most likely this functions as a defense grid. So, you know, maybe we have to tap the Talisman for 4 blue and we use a Dispel. And hopefully, maybe we use a mental misstep as well. And hopefully that's all able to get through there. So Trinisphere hopefully lands. We have the 7 colorless floating. We have 3 blue floating. So now you can go and play your Hullbreaker Horror, which leaves you with 2 colorless and a blue floating. And then you could just cast a Fabricate to start the loop here between Mana Crypt and Mana Vault. So that's going to produce infinite colorless mana, which then you can just utilize the One Ring here to get the other piece, or you can use the Fabricate to get the other rock that you want. And then that'll give you your colored mana to filter into your true combo and 100% deterministically win the game from there, which feels nice. No complaints about that one. Worked out pretty well. But that shows another thing that Trinisphere can do, where like this is a defense grid if we need it to be. As well as in the mid game, I'll often just play it to choke my opponents on mana, and it can kind of function like, if there's a Sphere of Resistance or a Thalia or a Grand Arbiter or a Boromir, where you can just count the amount of interaction that your opponents could possibly have, which we actually didn't have the most interaction here. So like there's a world that some of this gets stopped, and that's fine. You just keep fighting for it. I mean, you have the Sky Turtle to even get stuff back, which is really, really nice here. So like, we could have continued the counter war where like if they stop the Dispel, then we Colossal Sky Turtle, get back the Dispel with everything still in the stack and keep going, all that kind of jazz. We very likely win that game from there. And even if we somehow don't pull through that tune, we still have Seedborn and One Ring, and like we'll win on our following turn, and we have the Court of Calling, so it'd actually be very likely for us to be able to go for an instant speed line there, which is huge, especially with the crop rotation for Emergent Zone. Which also, like, you can just keep pushing, keep trying, and we'll get there. And with Nezahal, by the way, we have no max hand size, so we don't have to discard anything either. So definitely win here. Go to another game. Let's try and give a scenario for this one. Let's say that we have Dargo Timna in first seat. We have us in second seat. We have Dargo Thrasios in third seat, and we have Sisay Weatherlight Captain in fourth seat. That's a pretty all-around pod. Mostly the card that connects all of our opponents is definitely Dockside. So this is like the Manglehorn matchup of Manglehorn matchups. That it will do a ton here. I mean, the Dockside is the ultimate Dargo enabler, and we have 2 Dargo decks, and then Sisay is very much as well a Dockside deck. That is their cleanest combo lines. So let's take a look if we can find a Manglehorn. I see a Green Suns, I see a Lotus Petal, but I don't see enough early mana to do this really confidently. So it's close. It's not quite there. So I'd restart that one, go to second 7. Don't love that either. That's very, very slow. Go to 6. And now that we get scenarios, we're getting bad hands. Go to 5. And they're only getting worse. So we mull to 4, baby. We're looking for a fish, and we don't find it. Chromox feels pretty atrocious on the mull to 4. Don't really want to do that. Thrasios is too slow. I honestly think I go to 3 here. All right, that's a 3, I guess. So it does have the Manglehorn. Maybe that? Maybe that's our 3 in trust. I think it is. Wow, I hate that. Okay, yeah, move to the bottom. That's our 3. Draw for turn. Okay, honestly do love to see the elf there. That's pretty banging. So we get to turn 1 elf over turn 1 Soul Ring. Go to turn 2. Now we just go Soul Ring into Manglehorn. Hopefully blow up someone's artifact, and hopefully that slows him down successfully, but this hand is definitely not great. We're in do whatever we top deck mode, turn 3 Kinnan, and by this point we lose the game, most likely. We don't have a spin up, which is very sad. We have 6 mana, so not even enough to Thorn Mammoth here, and we're not holding a mana drain. So yeah, we'll get one more turn here. Quarter Calling, honestly, not the worst thing in the world. I guess that technically kind of leaves us in it. So we can Court of Calling for 2, 3, 4. So we can Court of Calling up to 4. So I think we would just grab Bloom Tender here, try and get to spins if we were actually doing this. I mean, we would just hold up, and then end step before our turn, Court of Calling into Bloom Tender, which is not the greatest thing in the world. Only 1 Bowmaster this matchup most likely though. So yeah, we untap, continue to draw interaction, which we probably just hold up the Dispel, so we would spin like this and hope for the best. There's a world that we something else. Okay, and I mean, you hit a Chimera, there's like a world that the game continues. But overall, obviously, in a Mulda 3, this hand did not really work out, and it's very unlikely that the game actually progresses to this point. Especially with, Dargo Tim down to play being a turbo deck and Sisay being much more of a combo deck. It has interaction, but, it's mainly for protecting its own win lines. The Mango Horn is really the thing that might allow us to continue this game. So, like, there's a world, but it's unlikely. Let's imagine the same matchup, same order, and give it a new fresh 7. Yeah, I mean, that's disgusting. So you keep it. Sounds great. Yeah, okay. So turn 1, if it hit another land, that's pretty great. Yeah. We can do Yavimaya. Let me do a Ristic Study here. Hope that lands. Lotus Petal. Crack it. Elf. Beautiful. Draw 3 in the cycle because it's on turn 1. Untap. Wow, we even have Banama with One Ring. That is disgusting. We want to be leaving up interaction here. We don't want to tap down because, especially with the decks we're against, they're going to be looking for us to tap down. So pretty important to leave up as much here as you can. With that, we can't actually hold up very much. So it's a little difficult. We definitely want to be leaving up a blue mana. Do we play Kinnan? We'll probably just play Kinnan. Yeah, I think I guess we can do it this way. So just play Kinnan. A little sad we don't put down the ring here. I'd really like to, but you definitely have to play responsible at this point where, like, you are going to jump ahead on card advantage. So get a couple more in the cycle, and then, yeah, maybe you have to offer something. And then you untap on your following turn. And now we can go for a Gaia's Cradle, which is pretty nice for just making mana a bit easier. So that's 5 mana here. Yeah, play the One Ring. Draw a card. Pack Negation's pretty sick because you can totally pay for that if you have to. So that's good. So now you're holding up Flusterstorm, Boseiju, March, which all feels very comfortable. We can say that we have to. Actually, no, we can wait. Like, if we don't have to use anything here, and step before our turn, untap this ring. Tap for 2. Feels great. Drawn a lot of lands this game in our 26 land deck. Make it to your next turn, upkeep, you tap, draw 2 more. And then you draw for turn. Wow, not drawing the mana, which is a little sad here. Probably just get Trop. Yeah. Crack it. Tropical Island. And the cool thing here is we could play Nezahal. The problem is it's 2 blue, but I think it's worth it. Because then we don't have to discard to hand size. It's pretty nice. The other thing is we could make another mana crypt. There's a few options here. Maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe we just discard and hold up is I think the safer line. We could metamorph someone's something. Like, it's hard to say without knowing what is on the board. The other option is play a Thorn Mammoth is actually kind of intriguing. Though I guess, I mean, it probably kills Sisay, I guess would be the mindset here, where rather than focusing on no max hand size, just kill the Sisay. I mean, this is 3/5/7, still holding up triple blue for Pongify, Flusterstorm, March, and we have a Boseiju. I think that's the play. Do we want to generate additional mana production first with this? Yeah, we could say that that's what we do. So we just, for Phyrexian Metamorph, end up making a copy of the Mana Crypt. So it is mana neutral here in this instance, 3 to get 3 back, and then we play the Thorn Mammoth. Kill Sisay, and that's nice. And I mean, having the Pongify, it's kind of interesting because if someone like does something where you can't for some reason target their thing, I don't know. You can always just blow up their thing, but you can also give yourself a token to trigger Thorn Mammoth. I have done before. I don't remember the exact weird scenarios that caused me to do that, but it was funky. And so yeah, I mean, you do that here, and then you're just holding up interaction. You discard a bunch of lands that you just don't care about at all. I do love Homeward Path, but I don't think now is the time for you. So you do that. And then, I mean, we're on turn 4 here. We've got Turbo decks at the table. Like, likely you have to use a Flusterstorm here. Maybe you even have to Boseiju a Breach. And then, sadly, that doesn't give you the mana for going for the One Ring here. So that's fine. You hopefully make it back to your turn. Untap. You're going to tap the One Ring on upkeep. Draw 4 more. And then you draw for turn. And I mean, just more interaction and a combo. So, I mean, Scalding Tarn, crack it. Get yourself a breeding pool. Now you're in a very nice flexible position. I actually didn't give us any draws from Mystic on like the last couple turns, so let's just draw a couple more. Yeah, so I mean, having that kind of interaction, now you are holding up Fierce, Dispel, Swan Song. You will go for a combo kill. So yeah, you will just, bada bing, that is 3, that is 6, tap 1 blue, I guess hold up an ammo just in case, to play Trophy Mage, so that's 7 mana, so that's Trophy Mage, which will, view library, get Basalt Monolith. They will try and counter your Basalt, you'll draw a card, you will tap, yeah, you're not going to tap the One Ring now. Tap an ammo, Dispel. Another counter spell, Fierce. Another counter spell, Swan Song. And we probably get there. Infinite colorless mana, play 1 Air Cake first for safety, and then tap this for some green, tap something else, and Quarter Calling for Thrasios, and GG's. Probably get there if you can tempo correctly. That was just a card advantage hand where like we could have put down things earlier like Nezahal. It is better in that scenario to hold up your interaction, make sure you don't get got because you are so favored in the long game, because especially in One Ring games specifically, the longer the game goes on, the more cards you draw. And it's not just like with Ristic Study, but like the One Ring particularly, you want to be leaning towards making the game continue rather than just saying, oh, I can win, go for it, or oh, this is everything I can do right now and go for it. You want to be patient. So let's do another one. We can imagine the same pod, but let's say it goes Sisay in first seat, Dargo Thras in second seat, Dargo Timna in third seat, and then we can be in fourth seat. So we're running up the rear, which kind of changes how you mulligan. Wish it had lands. Love me a fishy. Go to second 7. We got a combo. We have 3 lands. This is greedy as fuck. There's a world you keep this and you say, I'm in fourth seat, they can deal with each other. But you have to remember that they're not the most interactive decks in the world, which is good for your ability to potential combo, but the likelihood that the game gets to turn 4 where you're able to do this can be a little bit low. You can trust that your deck draws into something though, because I mean having Seaborn and Basalt is just like kind of huge, and you know having a Flesh duplicate also means there is a real option for copying a Dockside. These are 3 Dockside decks, so that world also exists. That kind of makes me want to try it. Yeah, in fourth seat, I mean it does nothing because you literally sit there and do nothing for like several turns, so it's kind of trash. I don't think I'd keep this. I'm kind of curious how it plays. Tropical Island. Draw for turn 2. Rejuvenating Spring. So now it's like, oh, someone played a Dockside, you go for it. But if not, I mean, you just play Kinnan, which is fine. And then you go to turn 3. Yeah, now you're in this awkward spot where like you still can't interact with shit, and you can't even Basalt combo. Like this, you would never keep this. It's so tempting, but you would never keep this. No. Go to second 7. Okay, this has one of my favorite little funny lines. Land, Mana Vault, Simic Signet, Kinnan. I actually really enjoy that line. Having a Tezzeret and the Mirage Mirror, this in fourth seat I try, especially because Chain of Vapor actually, I think, gets us there mana-wise on turn 2, which is kind of gas. So yeah, let's try this one. So turn 1, you go Land, Mana Vault, Simic Signet, 1 extra mana, Kinnan. And yeah, that's pretty cool that the Chain of Vapor, I think, actually gets us there here. So I'm going to tap on turn 2, Pact Negation to protect it, play out a Forest. This is tapped. Okay, so let me think hard about how I have to do this. So tap this to tap this. Going to make green, blue, blue. And so now we use 1 blue, Chain of Vapor, targeting Mana Vault, so that returns to our hand. Copy the Chain of Vapor, sacrificing the Forest, get back the Simic Signet. Use the green mana that was floating, replay Mana Vault, tap Mana Vault for 4 colorless. Use 2 of it, or I guess 3 of it, because you're also going to activate the Simic Signet to make another green and 2 blue. And now you have 6 mana. Maybe you didn't even have to do that all the way. I think you did. Yeah, you did. So maybe you didn't have to. No, because you only had 2 blue. Yeah. So you've done that. So just use all of that mana to cast Tezzeret. Tick down Tezzeret. I mean, Pact Negation, protect it. Tick down Tezzeret. Get Basalt Monolith. Make infinite colorless mana. And then play Mirage Mirror. And then swap between Basalt and Tropical Island. And you've won the game on turn 2. Feels fantastic, especially in that pod, because that's a pod I don't think is going to have the interaction for me on turn 2, so I feel very good about that there. Really, really love that.
How long have we been recording for here? 34 minutes. Yeah, I think that's good for the day. Nice little quick one. Just show a few lines, a few turbo hands, a few grindy hands, and yeah, let me know what you guys think and if you want to see more of these.